I play guitar. I love to sing. I play out a lot. So people know that about me, that I love to sing. And I wasn't feeling it. I just wasn't feeling it. I didn't have the drinks in me. Normally I'd be up and ready to go, ready and raring to go, and get up there and start singing, and I couldn't do it. Hey everybody, it's Jared back here with Small Town Sober. Thanks so much for tuning in again. I am officially 268 days into my year, which is just awesome. So that means we're under 100 days left. I'm getting excited. Even my kids are on board. They actually got me this. I don't know if you'd see it. Yeah, here. This necklace, the key on it has the sobriety date of 10/1/2024. That was a Father's Day gift. They're really, if there's something that I gained from this that I didn't expect, it was that the kids have asked a lot of questions about drinking, about substance abuse, about drugs, and I was able to relay to them with personal experience a little bit on how there's some dangers in everything. And, that's one thing, I might have said it before, but I didn't think of too much with my own kids, that you don't have to drink. That was never really a thought in my mind. I just thought you do drink. That's what you do. That's what I was raised to understand, that drinking is just kind of a part of life. And it can be, and it can be for many people and to be just fine, obviously. But some of my kids have already begun to say, I'm not going to do that. I don't want that. I don't want any part of that. And I like that they think that way. I mean, obviously, we would do what parents do and teach them as much as we can, and then they have the choice. And if they did choose to go down the path of drinking, that doesn't bother me. I just hope to God that they have some control over it and do understand now the implications of overdoing it. And so anyway, that's been a great, great thing for me and the kids as well. I've really appreciated the fact that they've learned a lot, and it's gotten deep within them. They understand now. They can kind of see the dad that was and the dad that is, and the difference is paramount to them. So I'm really excited and happy about that. But what I wanted to talk to you about today was my fears in doing this. And there are many. But I think, alcohol in so many ways, if you listen to any podcasts about people that have struggled with alcohol, there is a tendency for people like myself I consider myself a people pleaser in many regard. I want people to think highly of me, not in a narcissistic way. I just want them to know the true me. Like, if I give someone the wrong impression, I want them to know that's not who I am. And so I struggle with that. And I always wanted people to see the real me, my thoughts behind what I do. And, I never want anything to be misconstrued. And that can be exhausting, but in social situations, it's tough, which is why so many of us with social issues that struggle in social environments are excited about a drink, and that drink becomes like a girlfriend that builds you up in some way. I mean, they're there, they tell you great things, they whisper great things into your ear, and they just don't return the love. You partake because it makes you feel good, and ultimately you realize it is your demise, or it can be your demise. So that's, there's so many fears with sharing this with people, and one of my biggest is being considered a hypocrite. Anybody who knows me or has known me knows that I was ready for a party anytime. I'm always ready. I wouldn't say I was the life of the party per se, but I was always ready. If you wanted to celebrate this, that, the other, I'm there, I'm ready. And now that alcohol is in my life, I don't want people to feel like I'm hypocritical, but it's really, see, these are things I need to work through emotionally too. I've got to quit worrying about stuff like that. And so I'm trying to get more mature in that regard, but I just know how I felt when others around me would quit drinking. It would bug me. They weren't as quote unquote fun to me, or at least that's what I thought. So I struggle with knowing how I felt about others thinking they might think the same thing about me. But the bottom line is, I would just hope that they would find, the positives in it, the health benefits. I'm 43 years old. If I keep going down the road I was going, things are going to happen. I'm working backwards in some sense with my body at this point, and so I want to be sure that I'm putting into it good things and not the poison that alcohol is. So that was one thing. I don't want people to feel isolated around me. I don't want them to feel different around me. I had my buddy up a couple weeks ago right up here to our cottage, and I told him, I said, come on up and bring your alcohol. That's what we would normally do. You sit around, you drink, you talk. It's all good stuff. And I said, do not bring it because I'm in this different state. Don't do that. And he showed up and he didn't. And I said, you know what? I've got leftovers here. You're going to have some. It almost sounds forceful. I just wanted him to feel that he can be comfortable around me. I do not care if someone drinks around me. Thank God I'm not to the point of addiction where if I see it, I feel like I need it. I don't feel that way at all. I'm very lucky in that regard. Like I said a few times, I think it's a God thing. I don't think I could have come to this on my own at all, but I want to make sure people understand that I don't judge. And that goes with so many things in life. I put myself in other people's shoes, or I try to, and I try to realize that my way isn't the only way. And I want everyone to know that this is good for me. I needed this. So that's one of my biggest fears with sharing this is, I was the guy who, there's people out there that can be like, Jared, no way. Jared loves to drink. That's not him. And it wasn't. That wasn't me. I should say that was me. And somehow I made the turn on that, and I needed to. But yeah, that was one of my biggest fears. My second biggest fear is we have a lot of events, I guess, especially through my employment. I'm in sales, and there's a lot of events that come up. And this year on our sales trip, it was one of the first times, if I'm being completely honest, that I felt different. I felt like I didn't belong in some regard, and it's going to take a while to get over some of that. But for example, we went out to an establishment, and there's a group of us, and they started doing karaoke. Well, again, I play guitar. I love to sing. I play out a lot. Been blessed to record music in Nashville and do some fun things with that. So people know that about me, that I love to sing. And I wasn't feeling it. I just wasn't feeling it. I didn't have the drinks in me. Normally I'd be up and ready and raring to go and get up there and start singing. And I couldn't do it. I told my wife, I said, I gotta get out of here. I'm not in that mindset that alcohol would put me in. It would lower my inhibitions, and I'm ready to go. I just wasn't there, and that's a fear I've had. Am I going to feel that? And I did. I did feel that. Is it something that's crippling? No. It's just something. It's the new reality that I'm going to have to learn how to be available in those situations, and I've got to teach or retrain my brain to talk highly of myself in those situations. You can do this, because that's a huge part of my problem. My personal problem is there's such negative self-talk. And again, if you listen to anybody who's been addicted to alcohol, the vast majority of those that have very negative self-talk, and that alcohol brought them to believe things that they hadn't believed about themselves in a long time. So I need to start getting myself to believe what I'm trying to tell myself now in this sober state of mind. But that certainly was a fear of mine, and it did come to fruition in some regard. And I just want to be truthful and transparent. I'm trying to say this as it is. Not everything's, rainbows and butterflies. It's not. A lot of it is. A lot of it feels so good. I can't even express it. But there are times when I feel out of place. I kind of feel back to where I was, in the sense that I get why I wanted alcohol. I get it. I spoke last time about coming up here to the cottage. We're on a lake, or at least a little or close to a lake, and not having alcohol in the middle of summer in Michigan, you got 3 months of really solid summer weather, and alcohol was a thing of summer. It is a thing of summer. And we've already had a few weeks of that, and I can say honestly, doing good. There are times when it sounds absolutely wonderful, and at those times I've had a couple of the non-alcoholic, the NAs. I've found Heineken 00 is actually pretty good, but it's not as hard as I thought it might be. I thought I might come to resent this place a little bit, which is horrible, thinking that maybe just drinking was all I wanted. I mean, I've got my kids and my family up here. It's like, wow. But that's where my mind went, and it has not been that. It has been fun. It's been engaging. I've been doing so much more with my kids than I ever have because I'm available. So that's good. That's a good thing. But that was a fear of mine, most certainly. And so I'm here to say, at least thus far, we're about a third of the way through summer. I feel great. I'm glad of where I'm at. And last week, actually, we took a camping trip. And that was another thing. Camping was just sitting around the fire and drinking and talking and enjoying camaraderie. And this was a family-only trip. So I was concerned that I would feel I need to have that drink. And it was a 4-day trip. It was awesome. The weather was great. I did a lot of walking. See, I'm doing a lot more physical stuff that I wanted to do, but by the time I was available to do it, I was getting too tired from drinking all day. One thing that was me through and through is I would wake up in the morning and I would try to get everyone in my group to drink because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to drink. And I mean, I'm talking camping was an all-day drinking thing for me. You wake up and whomever you can get to have the first drink with you, that's when it starts. And if you have to be the first one, sometimes that's the case, but I always tried to get others to drink so I didn't have to feel as bad about popping a beer at 10 a.m. in the morning and then drinking all day long. So, man, just thinking about what I put my body through on those days, it just makes me feel so much better because you're still eating all the crap food, the hot dogs over the fire. You got to do that. You got to do it. So, it kind of offsets that as well. And I felt great the whole time. I wasn't hungover at all. Usually when we go to church on Sunday, man, it would be I'd be an anxious mess from the anxiety that I would feel. I hated getting in a vehicle and I didn't have to worry about any of that. It's just that the hangovers being gone is just wonderful. I mean, it's heaven to not have any of that. So I'm so thankful for that. And like I said, that was a huge fear of mine. We've got another camping trip coming up, and I can tell you, unless things drastically change, which I don't know why they would, great. I'm loving it. I still love camping. I still love nature, always have, and it wasn't just about the alcohol, and that's what I'm coming to find. Other things that I don't necessarily know how to navigate, I guess, thus far, which makes me a little anxious, is even up here, I've got a couple neighbors, a neighbor to one side, they're kind of my drinking buddies. And I haven't really let them know yet that I'm not. I've been over there a couple times. I've helped them move some things around. And, they've offered, hey, Jared, you want a beer? No, not right now, And I haven't yet said, hey, I'm not drinking. I don't know why that is. I think, again, I'm projecting that he's going to be disappointed in me because that's what we did. I don't know. It's really silly. And it's something, again, I just got to work through, and I will. But that's something that I've struggled with. I've had people joke with me about drinking otherwise and, in the way that I normally would. And I just go along with it. I haven't really been the one to stop and say, hey, I'm not doing that anymore. Because why? I don't know. Sometimes it doesn't feel like I even need to. It'll come out eventually. People will know, and that's okay. But it doesn't have to be something that I'm forcing, I don't think. But there is a little bit of anxiety around the fact that I can tell when someone's about ready to offer me a beer, how am I going to handle it? So that's another thing, and I'm looking at my phone a little bit. I wrote some notes down. One of my fears too was how do I fill my time? Initially, I felt like I had so much time because so much of my time I would drink and then fall asleep and then wake up in the morning, but then be non-existent for all practical purposes for the first few hours while my body recovered. And so once I got all that time back, I was a little bit bored for a little while. And I was worried about that, but now I'm so much more productive. If you ask my wife, she's got, as everyone does, right, a honey-do list for me. And I'm chipping away at that. Normally, I wouldn't. I would say I'm going to do it, and I would say that a million times, and it would never happen. And that's something that I've noticed I've gotten a lot better at. I'm doing things. I'm getting stuff done, and it feels good. And it's not something where, for example, a storm came through and tipped over our play set. And my wife said, normally you'd be stressed out about that, and you would be frustrated and angry. And she's right. I would be, because I think that's time that I got to waste, that I can't be drinking, that I've got to buckle down and do that. And no longer. I mean, I just don't feel that way. We can get to it when we get to it. It still is down, I'll say, because I'm still trying to figure out how exactly to pick it up. It's a heavy thing. Anyhow, the point is, I've got time to do it. I'm not flustered by it. It's not an anxiety that used to sit there. Alcohol was stealing so much of my time that I had so much anxiety about anything that came into my life outside of the norm. It was really an issue with me. So that is getting a lot better. I'm very excited about how I've come to react to things. I still am working on that. I'm still working through things that, normally I would have numbed, but it's a maturity, I think, an emotional maturity, handling these things as they come and understanding that they're not the end of the world. My gosh. So that's a bonus. I think the biggest fear of all is the guilt and shame when you start sitting with yourself and you do all the internal reviews of yourself in a previous life. One of the most crippling things, this sounds so stupid, but it's just true, is when I have a social media post come back to me, one of those memories that Facebook sends you. Almost every time I look at those and I either see drunkenness in my eyes, or it's a comment that I can just tell I was not in the right mindset. And those suck to look at. They're not good memories, Facebook. Stop sending me those. But it's good because it shows me how far I've come. There's things that I would have said, and I did get involved in arguments online, and just it was the alcohol talking. It wasn't me. And that's frustrating to see, but again, it shows progress. So the guilt and shame of who alcohol made me to be. I mean, it wasn't good to me. I like to be a moral person. And even just in thoughts, I was immoral much more while drinking than while off alcohol. I mean, that there's nothing that comes close. So I really appreciate where I've come. And I would say, though, that is something that I'll deal with probably for years. Just kind of looking back. I've even thought about ex-girlfriends and how I treated women in college, and I just wasn't that nice. And so I would apologize to anybody I needed to. I wasn't, I was self-serving in many ways, and I'm trying to work through that. But, if you listen to anybody who speaks to their addiction, they all say the same thing, or most of them say the same thing about how it's a day at a time, even a minute at a time. It certainly is a day at a time, and there's so many things that will crop up that if you choose to go down this road, and if you're anything like me, that you'll have to kind of wince and look at and say, oof, I did that, I own it, but I'm not that anymore. And that's a big fear of mine. So those are my primary fears, but I will say, again, I'm so happy to be where I'm at. Like I said, I'm under 100 days until the year mark, which is so far-fetched for me to believe. If you'd have told me this a couple years ago, I would have thrown my beer bottle at you and said no. But a couple of things that I guess I've noticed recently. First of all, I'm skinnier. I feel like I have a little bit of muscle tone, but I'm skinnier. And I that has to come from the fact that I was just probably always a little bit swollen. I know I'm a smaller man. I get that. But even so, my face is just it. I think I had more puffiness to me because I was constantly, putting all this glucose in my body in the form of alcohol. And so it's okay. Sometimes I wish I had a little more puffiness to my face, but it is what it is. And I'm healthier today than I was then, for sure. So that's good. Another thing I've done too, I don't know if I mentioned this, I quit fast food. Around here I think there's 5 chains that I've quit going to. That's McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell, Wendy's, and Culver's is in our area. I quit going to those. I'm about 110, 115 days into that. And it's one of those things. It's like if I can quit alcohol, I can quit fast food. So that makes me feel great. I feel so good from that standpoint. I feel so healthy. I'm walking every single day. I'm trying to get 2 to 4 miles in every single day of walking. I got to get back into lifting weights. I was doing really good for a while. But summer makes it hard when you're constantly moving kids to and from. And that's, by the way, why I'm here again. Trying to get time to talk is really hard with 5 kids. Man, it's not hard to get time. It's hard to get quiet time. So anyway, that's where I'm kind of at today. I like I said, I'm feeling great. I feel productive. I'm very excited about moving forward. Coming up, I do want to get my wife, I think I've said this earlier, but I do want to get my wife to come on one of these podcasts and speak to her perception of all of this. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not going to prep much at all. I'm going to let her speak her mind. It's going to be probably a little hard in some regard because I know some of the hurt and pain that I put her through, but I want it to be raw and real. So I might think of a couple questions, but I will not be sharing those with her before. And like I said, if we can find some time without the kids around hovering over our shoulders, I definitely want to bring her in and have her speak to this progress and what was our daily life before, how we dealt with summer things. This cottage was, when we bought this place, I think I mentioned this last time, but she said, don't become an alcoholic. And I said, of course not. Well, I definitely abused alcohol here. And so there's a lot of growing up that had to be done, and we're getting there. So anyway, those are my biggest fears for this process. I hope to bring the wife on, and we'll be talking more soon. Like I said, we're under 100 days. I'm so geeked about that. Thank you for listening, and we'll keep you in touch as we move forward in this process. Take care.